actual meeting, although we did have previously. I suggest that we do it to invite ourselves to speak so that we know who we are. There's a name badge at the back if you'd like to collect it. Okay, take a step back. We've just started, I was just saying we're going to do introductions. So Sam, Councillor Calvin Neal from Hull City Council, appointed to the Governance and Audit Committee.
I'm Paul Walker, work Democratic Service at Hull City Council, and I'll be servicing the committee.
I'm Julian Nielsen. I am the interim Section 73 officer, Director of Finance at the Council.
Afternoon, I'm Lisa Boys, work for SWAP in Supermarket Service.
Hi, I'm Tim Kemp. I'm councillor for Hull City Council and I sit on the audit committee there as well.
Hi, I'm Roald Ferrer Richmond. I'm also from Hull City Council and I too sit on the audit committee.
I'm Debbie Matthews, I'm councillor for Hull City Council. I'm not.
That's compulsory to declare now or not.
I didn't bother.
There we go. Yeah. Paul Houghton, East Riding of Yorkshire Council.
To Norman, East Riding of Yorkshire Council.
And I'm Margaret Corliss, judging of Yorkshire Council.
Michael Lee, I'm East Riding Yorkshire Council for the Driffield and Rural Ward, to give a name for the ward. And I have been on the audit committee in East Riding for 6 years.
I'm Jane Guru, I'm the Combined Authorities Interim Director of Legal Governance and Monitoring.
We want to do the split instead of one.
Is how many are on there? We've got a few.
External.
Hello, I'm Nicola.
Is there only Jessica on there?
No, this is
Can't see any other name, sorry. Jessica?
Hi, good afternoon. Apologies, my camera is not working.
Do we have anybody?
She's waving the ladies from External Audit.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm Nicola Hallis from Forvis Mazar, the external auditor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 1, apologies, since we're all here, I don't imagine there are any. And item 2, declarations of interest. Any members got any declarations they'd like to make? Thank you very much. Item 3, appointments of chair and deputy, to know the appointments of the chair and to elect a deputy chair. Do we have any nominations from the floor for the deputy chair role? Any willing volunteers?
I'll do.
I would say yes. Anybody else? Any other nominations?
I'll second Margaret.
So, Councillor Corliss then, any other nominations? Like to put it to a vote? All those in favour? Aye. Carried unanimously, thank you. To choose. This is maybe something I should have asked the So I'm assuming we can have substitutions as long as the name for the meeting exactly that what I tried to tell us rather than get named substitutions.
No, essentially, the intention is that each member nominates a substitute and that substitute would be their substitute for the entire year, so that there's continuity.
Okay.
Can I just ask the point that substitutes should have some sufficient training, presumably, and so somebody who hasn't been on an audit committee wouldn't necessarily qualify, is that right?
It's not that they wouldn't qualify, we would provide training, but obviously it's useful if people have had experience of sitting on a similar committee.
I think that's more pertinent because the quorum for this is 7. Whether that's something we'd like to ask the board to change downwards rather than upwards. I don't know, because if we've got a quorum of 7 and we have 2 members missing and nobody's their named substitute, then obviously we'll have problems. Because once we go down to 6, we'll actually have a meeting. So I don't know what wants about that. But personally, I would say the board potentially should be asked to lower the figure of 7 to at the very most 6. Anybody else, any thoughts on that at all?
I would second that, as long as it's a minimum of 2 from both.
Both authorities?
Yeah.
Well, it would be four and two at least, wouldn't it then? Anybody else any thoughts? Would be happy to ask the board to change it to 6 instead of 7, if everybody happy with that. All those in favour?
Great.
Thank you. All right, Paul.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Item number 5, terms and reference and forward work plan.
And that's me. So members, it's an extremely short report. You'll see at appendix 1 of the report, there is a proposed work plan for the municipal year. In appendix 2, I would simply set out the terms of reference. I think all of the members on this committee have already attended some training and development provided by an external provider. There's a second away day coming up that's scheduled for the end of October. We had attempted to get something in before your first meeting, but for reasons of trying to coordinate diaries across, in fact, 3 authorities, it's been impossible to do that. But the intention of that meeting is twofold. First part of the meeting, that it should be an overview of the work of the combined authority. And the second part of the meeting, an opportunity for you to break away and really get down into what you would like your work to be for the year. So the work plan that's set out at appendix 1 is a starter for 10, but we hope that it gives you a reasonable mixture of governance, financial, internal, external audit, work on accounts fraud and risk management. And you only have 4 meetings scheduled for the year to date, and you'll see that the December one's already been jam-packed. But we hope that that is a work plan that you can at least start to develop out from, with some key themes for you. Appendix 2 are your terms of reference. The terms of reference are, I suppose, what you would expect to see. You are tasked with looking at the combined authority's financial affairs, risk management, internal controls, and corporate governance arrangements. You are asked to review the combined authority's annual governance statement, statement of accounts, annual audit plan, to receive reports from our external auditors, and please note how, clause 9, 10, 11 of those terms of reference, because it may not be something that you're used to dealing with in this particular committee. But at HEYCA, this committee is also tasked with maintaining standards of conduct and the members' code of conduct. The one thing that you'll have noticed, I think, perhaps from the attendance at today's meeting, is we're currently absent an independent person. Attempts have been made to recruit an independent person. We've received, unfortunately, no applications whatsoever. So we'll go out for a second round of recruitment, and also contact some of our neighbouring authorities to see if there's somebody that we can potentially pinch from them. But that's also something that this committee will need to deal with in reasonably short order. I don't propose to say anything else. I think the 2 appendices are reasonably self-explanatory, but I'm happy to take any questions, Jeff.
Councillor Kemp.
There's just a quick question, really. You said there's 4 meetings scheduled for this year, but July would be into next financial year, on top of which Hull has an election between now and then, so some of us may or may not be here. Do we remain on this committee if we're de-elected in May? We don't, do we?
No, your appointment is for the municipal year, and you can see that there's a question mark against the date in July. And of course, this is the inaugural governance and audit committee for the combined authority. So because of the way the combined authority is constituted by its 2 constituent councils, you're not sitting now until September. I think it'll fall into a rhythm in future years, but I'm afraid because the combined authority waits for its appointments for the 2 constituent councils, we need to wait until you have your annual councils each year. Thank you.
Absolutely.
What are the dates that we are likely to get our published accounts? Obviously, we've got Paul ours here, so obviously it's been challenging in all local authorities over the last year or 2 to actually get these on time. Do we have a schedule for those? Because obviously we need to ensure that we've got sufficient time to have a look at those when they're available and when we get draft copies. So do we know a time schedule?
Well, the the statutory deadline to 30th of June to publish bank accounts. I believe it's in November for the auditing council, so we're looking to be that in line with those deadlines. And you can see we've got them down to the July meeting. So that's the aim. There's a lot. I think Nicola wants to come in.
Nicola?
Yeah, sorry, it was sort of on the back of that, it was just recognising the work plan. So I think the work plan has got at the December committee, you'll have the external audit plan, and then in March, a progress report. But actually, could we change that round? So you've got your external audit plan coming in the March committee, and we'll do a progress report at the December committee. And then that should fit nicely with the audit timetable for the coming year, which we will work with officers to agree anyway.
That's noted, thank you.
Thank you.
So the training you mentioned, I'm assuming, is the one on 29th of October.
That's right.
And that's joint with scrutiny, and then presumably after that, that's one we're going to separate.
Morning session aims to bring you all together, so scrutiny, this committee and in fact the executive board. So all of the members of the new authority, and in the afternoon breakaway groups for audit.
And will we need training for the code of conduct at all, or we just, because that's not scheduled in so far, is it?
No, it's not. So the other thing we need to do with to develop for this committee, but for the not saying at all.
Okay. Any further questions? Are we happy with the proposal? Thank you very much. Item 6, internal audit strategic plan and charter 25-26.
Thank you very much, Chair. So I'm presenting to you today an iteration you've seen an early one at an informal meeting that we had. And I think what I just want to stress today is that we intend to update this and further populate this, given that it's the first year things are developing. But wants to give you an outline of where we feel the direction of travel is. So you've got in the report a strategic plan, a very high level strategic plan, and charter and mandate. And the charter and mandate is a requirement of the public sector standards that we operate to. So both of them expect to see future iterations if that's acceptable. But and in the meantime, you can digest these documents and feed in as appropriate. So what we like to stress really is that whilst we're setting that direction of travel of where we want to go over this year and looking ahead for subsequent years, we need to remain flexible and adaptable. And essentially, the audit plan needs to be risk-based, so it has a great link to the authority's risk register. If I can just take you then into the plan, I've given you some high-level deliverables, and on the left-hand side of page 9 of the pack, you will see a little green box. So that just summarises the key areas. We've got assurance mapping, risk management, decision-making, ethical health, environmental systems, procurement, and strategic themes. So all of those areas should touch on your responsibilities and due terms of reference. And you'll see from the last item in the committee work plan, there will be a progress update report to each meeting. So there'll be an opportunity for you obviously to look at what we've done, what we're going to be doing, and to feed in as appropriate. It's important to stress the bottom of page 9, internal audit. As you all know, the coverage can never be absolute, and responsibility for a lot of these areas are rests with management, but we do work in an integrated manner with all of those key stakeholders. So just moving into the indicative programme that I've placed over a 3-year horizon, just so that you can see the context of what is looked at, or what we feel should be looked at annually, and what maybe is top of the list as a new organisation. And certainly top of that list from our perspective is assurance mapping. So in a new organisation, we've got a number of stakeholders, got a number of developing themes and strands, some of which won't become live in this financial year. So what we're keen to do as internal audit is, as a first job, to do this assurance mapping and to bring that back to you so you understand where your assurance is coming from, and then internal audit can place itself appropriately in that assurance map. Because in some cases there's going to be very prescribed arrangements about what we need to provide assurance on, and in other cases it will be more of a determination local, and all of that links and flows through from the risk arrangements that you put in place. So we've got assurance mapping up there in year one, linked to, say, risk management. So we will align the two, and then we'll be looking at decision making, and also under the overarching terminology of ethical health. At the moment, there is a lot of responsibility placed with internal audit for counter fraud in the Constitution, and I think we need to unpack that. There is the intention just to unpack that, but SWAP is set up to deliver your counter fraud function, but we need to just understand, alongside the development of the policy framework, relative roles and responsibilities. You will see then under financial resilience, we've got financial control every year. So what we plan to do this year, and we've already started looking at the data, is combined financial systems review. So we're going to be looking at the data, analysing that and using that to focus our testing, and we'll link that obviously with decision making and the subsequent items on the list of procurement, contract management. The stakeholder management partnership governance will link to assurance mapping, and then under the strategic themes, you will see where we've placed some of the activities, and the placings may change, but we're having conversations with the key leads on some of those strategic themes now, so that we can develop a more sort of, I suppose, populated plan of work for you, so you know what's to do. We've put at the bottom of page 10, and we are required through the global internal audit standards to indicate the level of audit coverage. It is a responsibility of the audit committee to be satisfied and to be clear of what the level of assurance is that you need and that you receive. So again, we need to have an open mind on this and be flexible and allow it to evolve and follow that sort of evolutionary process. But we've put that we expect very outlined terms that our input will be between 75 to 100 days a year. But what we have to understand is the outcome of this work is an annual opinion that covers and adequately covers risk, control and governance, as those are the elements that I need to report an opinion on at the end of the year.
Can I just bring Councillor Richmond just on that part?
Yeah, just on the project management, that's when we look at different types of KPIs, whether they've succeeded in their contract.
Yes, and there will be.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure.
That is more of a project management approach and a framework. So it's the same with risks, actually.
Yeah.
When we're looking at risk management, it's the risk management framework that you as a governance and audit committee need to be able to place reliance on, that it's satisfactory for the business to run appropriately.
Yeah.
And it's similar with the project management. And then we will pick up particular project management risks in the strategic themes. So there will be an overlap, but I'm not saying that, you know, that they're not necessarily mutually exclusive at this point. So there is an opportunity, and said at the start, for this committee's input to sort of to challenge what's included, what has been included, what should be included, and what you think extra or in combination with our view of the audit plan, what you would like to see in there. So these are hooks for you, and at a subsequent meeting, as part of my progress update, I'm required to report to you any significant changes against this, but what you need before that is a more populated view, and that has to come after the assurance.
Councillor Corliss.
Then you take my right in understanding that the risk management policy and the framework, the key risk indicators and so on, will be coming in December as part of your report.
Not as part of my report, so we're not providing risk management, but we'll work very closely with the risk management provider. Okay, and we will, as we look to do in any established embedded organisation, is to link the audit activity to the key risks of the organisation. But we can start those discussions. You know,
Okay.
Do we know who that provider is going to be at this point?
so I can't
We
say.
can't say at this point.
No, we're just finalising the management.
Thank you.
So the only other thing, Chair, then is to talk about the rest of the report. So we've got just details around our compliance with standards, approach to fraud. The work that we do will be a combination of assurance and advisory activity. And we'll make that clear which is which, but both will inform you. Okay? And there will be need in your stages of development, maybe to have the advisory before the assurance. So we'll take that as it comes. And then Appendix 1 is the charter and mandate, and apologies for the header because you will have noticed to the combined authority there, but it does in the body of the charter mandate. My intention is I wanted to give you the fullest example of a charter and mandate that we would have, and they're all pretty similar. But I do want to make it more bespoke, and I do want to make it shorter, so I do want to iterate this as well. But happy to receive any questions or comments. The report, Chair, thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions? Councillor Campbell.
Yeah, just a quick one, at the bottom of page 10. In this context, what are ASF and SPF?
So that's the Shared Prosperity Fund and the Adult Skills. Sorry, apologies, and I should always realise I've always pulled up my acronyms, so yes, I'll make that clearer.
Any other questions? So are we happy to agree the internal audit strategic plan for 25-26 and the order from the charter? Are we happy?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Item 7, finance and treasury.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. So I wanted to provide an update on the authority's financial position. This meeting, obviously it's a key piece of assurance for the audit committee and also treasury management arrangements, which is very much within the remit of this committee to have oversight of. So what I brought today is the first financial report that went to the inaugural board meeting in March 2025, which was to set the budget and treasury management policy and strategy. And I've also brought the financial report that's going to the next meeting of the board on the 26th of September, which it really updates that budget and reports the financial position to date for the authority. So in terms of Appendix A, that is the original report that went to the March board. You'll see on page 21 of the pack, there's a budget there that was approved by the board. It was a very provisional budget at that point in time. The authority had only existed for about a month at that point, and there was limited information in terms of forthcoming costs, and indeed on the funding side as well. 5.7 onwards sets out the assumptions behind that budget, but also most interestingly is the elements of the Hull and East Yorkshire combined authority deal, which sets out all the funding streams that we're expecting to come to the authority through that deal. In terms of treasury management, section 6 of the report. So what we have done there is essentially recommended, because the provision of financial services is being provided by East Riding and Yorkshire Council, we recommended to the authority that it adopts East Riding and Yorkshire Council's treasury management policy and strategy, effectively to minimise costs, because we can then operate that as one arrangement. And it's got all the key things you would want to see in a local authority policy and strategy. It's compliant with the Chartered Institute of Public Finance Council Code of Practice on treasury management. Importantly, you know, it operates the principles we would expect, where it prioritises security of funds above yield, and it sets out how the policy complies with all the treasury management practice notes within CIFRA's Code of Practice. The strategy it concerns effectively how we're going to approach treasury management for the year within that policy. Again, in line with East Riding and Yorkshire Council's positions.
So has somebody online got the microphone and we can hear speaking? Thank you.
Yeah, so effectively that was adopted by the board for the year. But what we will do in future meetings of this committee is we would want the policy and strategy to be considered and approved by the audit committee ahead of the executive board approving its budget with those documents alongside it. It does, as well as the treasury management policy and strategy, we should also say that it also includes a policy on minimum revenue provision, which authorities are required to set alongside the budget as well, which is around how the authority will comply with the statutory requirement to set aside an amount from the revenue budget for the repayment of debt. And that's what minimum revenue provision is. So that there's a policy that goes alongside that in terms of how we calculate that provision. In terms of Appendix B, Appendix B is the forthcoming report to the board. I appreciate these appendices are quite lengthy, but that starts on page 79 of the pack. And what that does is really sets out a year-end position with the 24-25. So the authority only existed for 2 months within 24-25. So there's really minimal cost in that financial year of 176,000. You can see that page 80. We received £500,000 of capacity fund grants in 24-25. And effectively we are recommending to the authority that is transferred into a general reserve, because the authority does need to establish a general reserve to manage any unexpected expenditure in the future. And then for 25-26, we've summarised the position on page 82. In the bottom half of the table, we've brought in all the latest funding announcements. So there's a number of extra items that have been brought in today, most significant ones being the local transport resource funding, we've set out expenditure today and forecast expenditure for the year. I think significantly, we have needed to look at taking some additional funding from the investment programme budget, which as the authority has established itself and established its staffing and resource requirements, its premises requirements, etc. It was determined quite early that we will need to take more money from the investment fund. So you can see top of page 83. We need to transfer 863,000 out of the investment fund budget to fund forecast expenditure. And what this does is identifies a revised budget on page 82 against that original budget, which utilises that extra funding to align that revised budget with this latest forecast expenditure. But suffice to say that there's certainly enough funding to cover the forecast, as well as leaving over £7 million of revenue funding in the investment fund alongside the UK Share Prosperity Fund and the consolidated actually travel fund on the revenue side. It does identify as well at page 84 the sources of capital funding. So over £28 million of capital funding that's been announced, which in the large part is being passported across to the constituent authorities to deliver the arrangements under the conditions of that funding. So you've got local transport grant, integrated transport block, almost £20 million there from those transport grants, and the Shared Prosperity Fund of almost £3 million. There is an investment fund capital as well, £4.7 million. No plans have been yet brought forward for investment of that money, but that's what we will see as the authority establishes itself and its governance arrangements around investment. There are a couple of specific recommendations in this report around announcements of grant funding. So in 9.9, we've had grant offers from the Department of Energy Security and Net Zero around some specific projects across Hull and East Yorkshire, where there's 1.45 million budget to be established there for that funding, which will be transported across to constituent councils, and there's also the supplementary capital budgets for the capital funding announcement set at 10.1. So just really to end on in terms of those reports, there's an update on treasury management. We'll bring regular updates to this board on treasury management as well. But at the moment, we are expected to achieve our forecast budget for return on investment on treasury management. We are operating within the policy and strategy. So that's all on track. So I'll end my update there, and I'm happy to take any questions with this report.
Councillor Corliss.
Some of these sources for incoming funds from the government are new to me. Could you talk us through, are any of these ring fenced? The revenue ones, not the capital ones, and if so, which one?
So yes, essentially the UK Shared Prosperity Fund, Consolidated Travel Fund, local transport resource funding, and the Get Britain Working grants, they are effectively for specific initiatives that we're expected to spend that money on. The capacity fund, the investment fund, and the national insurance contributions grant are all general funding that can use to support the operational budget as well as any investment plans.
Well, thank you.
Councillor Lee.
Thank you. There's an assumption here that a lot of these figures are quite fluid in the sense that clearly there are quite a lot of changes presumably happening within the funding side. But the question I have is, the mayor's been quite energetic, I think, in putting forward his community fund, which sounds like a good thing in principle. Where am I going to find that? I think it was £1 million. Where do I find that here? Because I haven't quite
Yeah, so it's not here at the moment because there's a report going to the executive board on the 26th of September, just to establish the principles around that fund.
Right.
It will come from the investment fund, which is £7.2 million.
Thank you.
Any other members have questions? Julian, You may have covered it. If you did, I'm sorry, but I tend to look around the room to make sure nobody's waving at me. So I do sometimes this thing. Page 19, 4.6. It does say there that, I'm not reading the right one. Would agreement constituent authorities as part of the budget process, is that being done? Oh. And then underneath it says the combined author doesn't have a business plan, is that our business, we've got a business plan now? 4.6 and 4.7 page 19. Because that wasn't reported to us, it was the combined authorities, I'm assuming. So, yeah, page 19 of 85.
4.6.
4.6, 4.7.
Yeah, sorry.
Had you gone so far?
So 4.6, that's just setting out the options available
Right,
to the board in the future to raise funding outside of government funding that's available to HEYCA. So at the moment, it's not taking any of those options, but we have options.
but we'll do
available.
eventually.
Possibly.
Right, okay, so they don't have to.
They don't,
Right, okay.
but there are options that are available. In terms of a business plan, there's a document called the game plan that is going to the executive board on the 26th of September.
Yeah.
Which effectively is the business plan.
Any other members have any questions? So recommendations, 2.1, committee notes the update and endorses the treasury management policy. Treasury management strategy and minimum revenue provision policy approved by the executive board.
All right, Calvin, sorry, I'm just trying to get ahead. At 9.10. We're coming to it, you're about to say recommendation on the revenue, supplementary revenue. At this moment, I don't have any problems with it. I just. It then goes on to the councils, but do we still get a report on how that money is spent? We just don't give the money away to the residual councils, leave it at that. Do we get a follow-up on meeting out the combined authority goals? That's for.
So it's the money at 9.9, and effectively it's those two projects, and there's a detailed project plan for each of those that is submitted for approval for the Department for Energy Security and Net Zero. There is a slight amendment to the text here in terms of the report that's going to the board, because we actually don't have the final grant offer for both of those schemes at the moment. So it's given the wrong information at the time, but we've got a final grant offer for Hull and East Yorkshire solar top-up scheme, and that's all been approved, signed off. That's been confirmed this week from the department. The Southcliffe Holiday Park solar expansion and battery addition, the project plan is still under consideration at the moment, but the indications are is that we will receive 750,000 towards that scheme as well. So yeah, the detailed plans around those are approved by the department.
Yeah, I suppose with this hat on, I suppose my councillor hat on, I can see that scrutiny would look at that, take it through and make sure. But would we get an end user report on this money went to here and these are the outcomes? But the money that we've sent over has actually been well spent.
I don't, as a default, that isn't something that would normally come to the audit committee, but it's certainly within the scope of the audit plan would be to look at how funding deploys and is deployed, and that the governance arrangements around the plan that funding is.
That's what I'm trying to get my head around is.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm gonna end up looking at it twice because I'm on the audit.
well, it's from a slightly different perspective, I would say, because this committee is concerned with are the government arrangements for the authority around the funding it receives, and that's deployed in a manner that's appropriate and effective. That's what this committee is here to do. In terms of more of the detail in terms of
Do we not have a value for money aspect?
yeah, there's value for money as well,
that's-
absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Would that be something that internal audit would be more akin to looking at rather than bring a report to ourselves?
As long as it's aligned with one somewhere, that's
Yeah.
fine.
Yes, so there'd be a number of stakeholders, possibly, I mean, external audit,
Yeah.
Guardian has as well. But in terms of what you receive here, just in terms of the outcomes piece you're talking about, we can build appropriately into the plan. When we're talking about grant funding, there may well be a requirement anyway, where if we're required, in some instances, the head of internal audit needs to sign off, you know, to the funder. So we've just got to map who those are, basically, and that may include financial outcomes and non-financial outcomes as well.
Okay, no,
But
that's,
usually for us, it's about the financial outcome.
that's fine.
Any further recommendations? Right, so it's on page 17 of 85. Is that committee notices update endorses treasury management policy?
Yeah.
Are all members happy with that?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. That takes us on to agenda item 8. And I dare say this is gonna be our quickest meeting. I don't expect the rest of them are gonna be quite difficult. Has anybody got any points they want to make? I know it's not on the agenda at all. One of the things I was asking before the meeting is whether or not we wanted something on there in the lines of any members wishing to put things on the next agenda, because we can't discuss anything here that's not on the agenda. Members may want something put on the agenda for the next meeting or a work programme. But we don't have that on the agenda, so we don't have facility at the minute. So personally, I would rather see an agenda item of government house, which it does apparently, for them to be able to put something on. And again, with officers saying how fluid this might be officers that are coming forward with extra agenda items as well over the day. So are members happy with that? Yeah, you're right, sort of wording now for that. So, yeah, okay, thank you. Anything else from anybody? Thank you all very much. Oh, sorry, Councillor Lilly.
And you say, I know we touched on this earlier on about the risk management side of things, which I think is important. Is that going to be a specific agenda item for our next meeting, or would it just be included in the internal audit update? Because I think sometimes having a specific agenda item on those is better.
Risk will not be included, your risk management framework will not be reported through internal audit.
No.
Our role will be to actually
So
review that.
yeah, no, I understand that, but so we need a separate agenda item.
Yes.
Would you like to put?
So in terms of the items on page 4, as it stands at the moment, they expect all of these to be specific agenda items.
Yeah.
Some of them may be amalgamated together, obviously with the risk management, we'll do the policy and probably the update report as one. And it may be similar for the governance items, but yeah, we expect all of these to be related to specific agenda items.
Thank you. Anybody else? Thank you all. Thank you those online. Oh, sorry, Councillor
In
Norman.
terms of the naughty boys scenario, shall we call it? If there's any issues in that, is that going to be a separate meeting to this, or?
Yeah, normally, aren't they?
Yeah.
There was.
Yeah, so the member conduct as a generic item would come to this normal committee. If we need to have a code of conduct panel and a hearing, that would be separately scheduled.
What's the quorum for that?
Do you-
It
I-
won't be-
I would
it
have
won't
to-
be the full
No,
committee.
it won't be the full committee, it will be panel drawn from you, but I'm
Yeah.
afraid I'd have to go back to the.
Yeah,
It would be from this committee. It would be a separate.
Yeah. That's it.
There's nothing in the pipeline.
Yeah. Well, you see, you sounded as if there maybe was.
Yeah.
Hopefully not you.
No.
Anybody else? Going once, going twice. Third and final time. Thank you all very much. Thank you online.